Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. It's first impressions day today, and we're looking at this new tool straight from Airfix in 1:72 scale, the Boeing Chinook HC.1. Don't know what the HC means, but yeah, this is a 2024 new tool. As I'm recording this in about the 17th of June, it has just been released. It's been out a couple of days. Okay, so let's take a look. The kit number is A06023, which means it will be available to get hold of through your flying hours. Nice bit of artwork on the front, which really shows the Chinook off. Actually, probably as most of us see it, sort of from underneath a little bit as it flies overhead. Yeah, but a nice in Air Force livery, going over the ocean with some form of tanker in the background. So yeah, nice digital bit of artwork there. We've got a corrugated lower and upper box, so nicely protected. Tells us as we look on the side here that's official Boeing licensed product. We've got Cartcraft decals, model design and tooling 2024, decal scheme and pack design 2024, made in India. So all fairly standard stuff for Airfix. And yeah, the ends, as always, replicate what you get on the top of the box, so for putting on the shelf. And then when we flip to this side, we get all the interesting other stuff. I do forget that Airfix do it upside down. So, flying hours 2, but the skill level is 3. We get our Humbrol paints called out there. So we've got the common ones across the top, and then 2 particular for scheme A and 2 for scheme B. So we have 2 paint schemes, and here they are. So we have Bravo November, number 18 Squadron, Royal Air Force, Operation Corporate, Falkland Islands, South Atlantic, May, June 1982. So, you know, I was 12 when that was happening. I remember the Falklands really clearly. I was actually tracking it on a map I drew on my wall. So that one appeals to me straight away. And then we've got number 7 Squadron, Operation Granbury, Desert Storm, Gulf region, May 41. Well, I remember that operation very clearly as well, so that might be another one that I'd be interested in. Already Airfix are making it difficult for me. Which way to go? Not often though that I do aircraft in those desert colours, so could be that one. Could be that one. Then we get a little bit of history, and we won't delve into that, but at the bottom here we get some little juicy details, and it tells us that the length of the kit is 356 millimeters, that the rotor dimension is 250. Well, that's because that's giving you the widest point of the finished model, and that we've got 171 pieces in here. Whether we use them all, I don't know. So let's take a look inside. So inside our box, we've got the usual single plastic bag containing all the sprues, and a separate bag for the clear parts in there. There looks to be a lot of clear parts. And then at the bottom we've got our instructions, which unfortunately are folded, but we can flatten those before we build, and our decals. So let's have a look at our instructions. Right, instructions. They are the standard Airfix approach. We've got an A4 portrait, build manual in colour, stapled, and on the front there we've got a bit of history and some specifications about the aircraft. Tells us to wash our parts for best results. And then when we open that up, the history in different languages continues. Then we've got some assembly instructions, things like study the drawings first and that sort of thing. Then we've got our assembly icons, so tells us things like what not to glue, what's a decal, we need to put weight in it, all of that sort of stuff. So you might not necessarily use all of those icons during the instructions, but they are Airfix's standard icons. Right then, step 1, and that looks very much like the underside of the floor pan, and the first instruction is actually to remove ejector pins, okay, which is what those little green things are. Now, first thing I'm going to say is that using this little knife icon which says cut, and they're highlighting that in green, and I've said this before in other kits, but they're not telling you in the assembly icons what green means. So they've got a little thing red which says indicates final location. I think they need to put a little one in that's green that says indicates part area to be removed. Something like that, and then it'd just be a little clearer. You know, why list one of the colours and not the other? But anyway, so we start with the floor pan, then we're putting in, this is going to be the cockpit floor pan, I guess. Then we've got some dials going on there. They look like moulded dials. They're telling you to paint it matte black, and then they've got decals to go over it. So you've got two options there. You could either hand paint it in accordance to the decals, or cut some of the decals out and use them and paint other bits, or you could just try and lay the decals on top. Never looks great when you do that, to be honest. Culling out the paint colours as we go, and then we're building up what looks like the cockpit bulkhead. Yep, so we've got a little corridor there, two parts sandwiched together, and we've got the corridor bit in the middle, so we can see that going in there. Then we've got the seats, are they? Seat backs, something like that. Mounts for the seats, yeah, there you go. So seats being built up. We've got a separate base cushion, but the rest of it looks like a single moulding. So it'll be interesting to see what they look like. Seats going in, so they should look okay. Control sticks going in, both sides. Then we've got all the dials and stuff, and once again we've got decals for all of that. So same comments as before. Lots and lots of removing ejector pins here, which no doubt is so that you get a good fit. Then in step 14, we've got the rows of many seats. It looks from the images like it's all textured. I hope that they've done different textures on different seats and not just done like 3 and repeat it and think that we won't notice, because I will. Paint instructions, all good. And then we've got nice pictures showing what that should look like in terms of symmetry. Asking you to put a couple of holes in, and they tell you what holes to do, and they're also telling you with that B that's for paint scheme B only. Then we've got some more drilling to do, and these are options. So it's telling you to drill those holes for both paint schemes, and then it's an option. So I don't know what that is from the silhouette, but it looks like possibly a winch, given that it's mounted above the door. I'm guessing it's some form of winch. Then we've got another colour, purple, and it says drill through that, and so is that a different type? Is that a clear plastic part maybe? Don't know. See, don't know what the purple is, don't know what the purple means, and it's not in the key. So that's the third colour, only one of which we've got a reference to in the key. But it is telling us that we don't glue that part in, so maybe it's some form of jig. I don't know, we'll see. More ejector pin removal. Then, so they're on the back of these parts, which are then going to... This is a thing we've seen a bit more recently from Airfix, these half-moon ejector pins that protrude. I guess it's some change they've made to how they're doing the tooling, or maybe a change of tooling manufacturer or something like that. interesting. I prefer the raised ones actually because they're easier to clean up than the countersunk ones. You're not having to fill, you're just having to nip off and sand flush. So I prefer them, to be honest. Right, so we've got some liner going in there, which will add lots of detail. We've got some detail, it looks like, already in. Shows you what that should look like. Then we're doing the same on the other side. And then we're putting the two fuselage halves together. So we'll put one in and then put the other in. So we do have painting instructions for that and some of the details, so that's good. So at this point you'll have been doing some painting, probably some washes, so all sorts of weathering effects for the inside, and we are on step 24 now at this point. If we flip over, we've got more hole drilling to do. This is for the underside piece now, so this is the outside of the fuselage underneath, mounting that in. Note, use part D1 as a jig for drilling holes in step 29, do not glue. So again, another purple part, and again I'm wondering if it's like a jig, and anyway, we've got positions in that and which we then drill through. Two different sizes of drilling holes, 0.7 and 0.8. And then we've got a centerpiece that goes along the length, and we've got two parts that go in for the base for the rotors, and it looks like they are directional, so they've pointed that out, so you're not going to miss anything like that. It's really good. Okay, so then we've got the are these engine nacelles at the end? I've always assumed they are. We've got a port assembly, a starboard assembly, and then it says, note, when building the A scheme with conical filters, follow steps 34 to 39 below and miss out 40 to 45 and then carry on at 46. Therefore, when building B schemes with dust filters, miss out 34 to 39 and carry on. So we've got two different filter types going on the front of these engine nacelles here. So this is the conical filter type. It's two-part. So I'm guessing that should be some form of mesh, and therefore the aftermarket people will be doing something with that at some point. So mounting that on, and then step 40, we've got this different type of filter, which is for the Desert Storm Chinook. Okay, pretty cool. Step 46, and we're putting in the struts for the wheels. So that, I think they're permanently out, aren't they? I don't think, or do they retract? I don't know. Don't think they do. Might be wrong. It doesn't seem to be anywhere they'd retract to, so I do think they're permanently mounted. Twin wheels. It looks like we've got solid wheels moulded into the hubs, so it'll be interesting to see how well they've managed to pull off the detail on that. Then we're doing the rear wheels, and then in step 53 we've got options. So it's the back door closed, the back door open with the ramps not deployed, and then back door open with ramps deployed. So three great options there, all slightly different. Nice to see. And it's irrelevant which paint scheme you're doing with that. You can use that for anything. Then we're adding the glazing. So externally mounted, which is great. Means that we can have to look at how we're going to paint that, because you have got these seat backs there. But anyway, we're putting all these clear parts in. They're not purple, so what I thought might have been a clear part earlier on in the instructions that I saw that was purple isn't. So I'm wondering if it is just a drilling jig. I think it must be, even though they've not explained it like they do later on in the other jig. So clear parts going on, and then we've got the front of the helicopter going on. Again, clear parts, side doors, clear parts. That'll make it nice and easy to clean and mask. Then we've got another side door going in, and again 3 options. So we've got fully closed, we've got half open, and then we've got half open with the step deployed. So 3 nice options. Yeah, okay, cool, nice to have those options. Step 60, would you believe it? Adding a little bits of detail now to the helicopter. Not quite sure what they are, but again we've got an option for deployed or stowed. They look like lifting rings. Whether that's what they are, don't know. What looks like some form of tail light possibly going on, although it's not a clear part. So all sorts of little details now. We've got some form of grab handle by the looks of it, not quite sure. Little boxes and bits and pieces being put on. More drilling to be done. So a nice builder's model. You're getting really involved in it. Then we're building up what is the winch. Okay, so the holes that we drilled before are for an external winch. Okay, I imagined it being on the inside at that point. Okay, cool. So yeah, there we go. Winch deployed. More small parts going on. We've got a little assembly there for a lifting rig. Tells you to build it in sequence, and that'll be because it's going in one direction, and then you've got to clip it into place. They use that same methodology of sequence building on the Bulldog recently, and yeah, I like it. I like the fact that they're showing you how to pull it together. It's really, really simplifying the instructions for people. Fantastic. Okay, so we have the option of the lifting gear being displayed or a panel and it being covered. So you may not need to do step 70 if you're just going to cover it. But why would you have that little detail and cover it up, you know? Then we've got all sorts of little bits and pieces going on. I guess antenna and the like being mounted in. More antenna. God, there's loads of it. Don't know what all of that does. Then we've got some more little details going on, some boxes of some type. Last page, and we're at step 76. We're building up the front rotor, adding the individual rotor blades onto the centerpiece, which is nice. Be interested to see where the sprue gates are on those rotors, and then installing it, and then we're doing the rear rotor blades. Looks like exactly the same way, where you've got a centerpiece with half of the root of the blade, and then the top half of the blade and the rest of the blade sits on top, and then yeah, it's showing you how to do that. So the orientation of the blades is the same. Yeah, very nice. So whatever position you put in that front blade in, that back blade has to be in the same position. Okay, cool. 82 steps in total. Looks really intuitive. Nice instructions. Let's have a look now at our paint schemes. So they're not on separate sheets. They're included in the back of the instruction manual, which is what they tend to do with the 172 stuff. Right, so we've already gone through this one. We know this is the Falklands one, and we've got our 2 side profiles, top and bottom view. All these red boxes are the decals, so not massively heavy, but we might have another separate stencil sheet yet, because I can certainly see things here that aren't being referred to. yes, there's all sorts of tiny little decals here between the blades and what have you. It says front blade upper surface is black, so it would suggest that that's just on the front blade. Front blade underside times 3. Rear blade underside times 3. So colours and decal positions. Right, so the undersides of all the blades are black, but the upper surface of the front and rear ones, the rear blades are black on the upper and lower surface, but just the front blade on the upper one. Am I reading that right? Surely they're all black. Not sure that that's as clear as it could be. Front blade upper surface, oh, times 3, yeah. So the black, they've done that in a convoluted way, I think. That's to do with the different decals, I suspect. Anyway, yeah, nice and clear to follow otherwise. Showing you where to put the decals, shouting out all the different paint colours, and we've got our little list there of paint colours, and then we flip it over. And before we get to paint scheme B, we've got the stencil data for A. Look at that. That is lovely. I mean, I like putting decals on, and these will be tiny. These will all be tiny because it's not a big model really at this scale. So, wowzers, that's a lot of decals, isn't it? Yeah, looking forward to that. So all our decal positions. So I'm guessing paint scheme B has different stencils. So here we go, paint scheme B, and it's telling us the colour here is Humbrol 118 plus 34. So 4 parts 118, 3 parts 34. 34 being white. So we're having to mix a colour. Not often that you do that with Airfix, but really nice that they're giving you that ratio. Gunmetal, matte black, and silver being the other colours. So it's a single all-over paint scheme. Really nice, but what I'd say is this is painted over a more regular camouflage scheme. So do some research, because the sands strip the paint off these things pretty sharpish. So you've got loads and loads and loads of weathering options in this. So yeah, still plenty of decals as well. The big markings and lots of smaller markings. And then, oh, that is it. So there is no, so all the stencils are included in this. So a lot less decals on this one. Let me just check. Yeah, it does say A position of stencils, but a lot less. So must have painted over quite a lot of them in that process. So yeah, there you go. That's the instructions. Let's have a look at our decals next. So our decals now, as always with Airfix kits, they're cartograph decals, so they're the best you can get really. They are very, very nicely done. My first comment is there is virtually no margin. The only real clear decal film you're getting is in between where you've got spaces. But even some of these have no decal film on the inside. So really, really nicely done actually. So we've got a small selection of common ones at the top there. Then the ones for paint scheme A, which it doesn't look that many after you saw all those stencil directions on the instructions, to be honest. And then we've got this much smaller one for paint scheme B. Yeah, as much as I quite like paint scheme B, I think I'm moving towards the Falklands version 1 for my build. Be interesting to see what people do. Yeah, very nice. Very, very nice. Nothing wrong with that. Right, we're kicking off with the clear parts. and as always with Airfix, they are very, very clear. So this is sprue J. We've got this great big J in the middle there. We've got lots of little lamp lenses. We've got the two side doors really, really clear. Distortion, not really. Then we've got this front nose piece. A lot of this gets painted, of course. There is distortion in the lower bit, which you'd absolutely expect given the shape, and a little bit in the windows as well. But when I put my hand behind it, look at how clear that is, and all of that distortion pretty much goes away. Your main source of distortion is on this curve here, and I'm guessing that's a clear area for the pilot to look down through. Then we've got these flat lenses, which, yeah, always difficult to do circles. There's quite a bit of distortion in those. Again, once in place though, that distortion disappears. So nice and clear, other than one of them's got a little bit of spidering in. I say that, yeah, it is. There's a little, yeah, some spidering in the back of one of them, but it's not really visible once you get your fingers behind it, so I don't think it's a major issue. There's no scuffing or anything, so on these domed ones, nice and clear. Yeah, yeah, these are as good as any. No issues. Often the weakness of a kit, the clear parts, but other than a little bit of spidering in one there, which you may not get in your kit, everything seems nice and well presented. I won't take a photo of these, but we will take photos of the other parts and close up and share that at the end of the video. Right, sprue B, and interestingly, there's only one part on it, a fuselage half. So yeah, they've gone for quite small sprues, actually. So that's quite interesting. So in the standard dark grey plastic that we now enjoy from Airfix, and the first thing that strikes you is the complete level of detail on here. We've got countersunk lines, we've got raised details, got raised rivet details, we've got raised panels again with raised rivet details. Really, really nice, actually. Yeah, and the panel lines are not too deep, too wide, or any of the other criticisms that have sometimes been levelled at Airfix. So very, very nice. You've got a number of sprue gate connection points and then ejector pin connection points, but all of them, if you can see, are actually connecting to the part on this surface here. So you nip them off and you sand that flush and you've got nothing on the outer surface. Now they didn't even need to do that on these because this gets covered up by a part, but they still did it anyway. That's attention to detail and I love it. So yeah, very nice. We can see some interior detail here. I'm not sure whether these ejector pins are visible. I think they're not. I think the seats are in the way of those and they won't be visible. So I suspect none of these ejector pins on the interior are actually going to be things that the modeler needs to address. So very, very nice. I'm not seeing any issues in terms of sync or anything like that. So yeah, it is lovely, actually. There's a little bit of seam work to clean up, but hardly anything. It's really nice. Yeah, Airfix continue to get better and better at their moulding processes, and that is lovely. Sprue D, and we've got the other half of the fuselage. We've got the little jig there for drilling, which has got the holes in, ready for you to put the drill down, which is really nice. And then we've got the underside piece, so with these little recesses for what look like lifting hooks, but I'm sure someone can tell me what they actually are. Again, the detail is lovely. You've got, just like the other side, raised and recessed details, some nice grille details, all very nice. Then we've got, and there's quite a bit of detail on here as well. So you've got the panel lines, and you've got some what look like recessed fastener details as well. All very, very crisp. No issues with any of it. Yeah, and some lovely wiring detail on the inside there. Right, sprue F, and we have the rotor blades on here, and I was really interested to see this. My first observation is they're shorter than I imagined they would be, and they have this flat edge, and Airfix have used that for the sprue gate. So we've got two sprue gates, both on areas where you'll cut off, so I've got no sprues at all on these surfaces, so that is absolutely fabulous. Really helps the modeler out, and means you're not going to cause any damage while you're cleaning it up. So very, very nice. Yeah, you will have a seam on the end, so you're going to have to clean the end up anyway and then take that sprue gate off. So yeah, very nice. And look, moulded with the curve in place. So isn't that lovely? That is just fabulous. Very, very nicely done. So you can see that we've got the correct drop moulded into the plastic. They're actually quite thick, but I guess that's correct, because they 3D scan these things now. That's the little top piece that goes between the rotors. So it's got some raised seals there, panel joins. That looks like our filter boxes, engine nacelle, lots of recessed rivet detail on there. Lots of it, and some nice grills. They look really nice. Then we've got the rotor mounting plates, and the centerpieces of the rotors there. Again, very nicely detailed. Yeah, they look lovely. Take some photos of that towards the back end. You'll see all of that come together. Okay, sprue C, and we've got two of these internal parts that we saw being installed at the lower part of the interior. What looks to be part of the front end of the helicopter. Oh no, this is probably the yeah, it is. It's the rear door. As you can see, my part has come adrift from 3 out of the 4 sprue connectors, and I don't want it to get damaged, so I'm actually going to remove it. But yeah, it's only held on by that one there. So we'll take that apart. But yeah, nicely detailed. You got some cabling and bits and pieces in that end there, which is nice to see. So yeah, it looks really cool. Little recesses for the metal work there, the pressings, and then we've got nice texturing of the metal loading bay floor. Yeah, and that just sits in there, and that builds up that's your open version with the closed stowed ramps. All very nice. Sprue E now, and we've got seat detail, the big main floor pan, bulkheads. I think that's the roof of the helicopter at the front there, not sure. I'm not quite sure what that is. And this is the bit that I think was purple, and I'm now definitely sure that that is a jig. Got the pre-place holes. So on the instructions, they need to put a little box there that says purple means jig, not in part of the finished model, or some words to that effect. Right, seats. Let's have a look at these because I'm interested in what they've done. Right, so, yeah. So what we've got is some lovely texturing on the seat bottoms there. You can probably see that in the light there. And I'm looking at it to see if there's a repeat pattern, and guess what? There isn't. How lovely is that? Spot on that, Airfix. Thank you very much. Now let's just see, is that... Yeah, and they've not even repeated it on the opposite side either. So all the seats will look individual. Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. So yeah, very nice. There's texturing on the backs as well. Again, all different. So they've done a really lovely job of that. Yeah, very, very nice indeed. So love that. Nice surface details being shown. Then we've got this bulkhead, which I guess this is quilted material. It certainly looks like it. Very nicely done. Nice quilting effect. Yeah, lovely. There's nothing really. This one here, this is the other side of the bulkhead, and that's also quilted, but has some cutouts for other parts to go on there. And again, I have another part that's come adrift, again, because it's all in one bag. And interestingly, these are the tabs they tell you to remove in the instructions, but they're actually pretty much already done. There's only one that's really proud. So that seems to have been already trimmed in the factory largely. Interesting. The floor pan itself, lots of detail in there. Lots of raised fastener detail, so you can paint that, give it a wash and put the shadows in all your recesses, and then just dry brush it, maybe with an aluminium or something like that, and show it being used and walked on and the paint worn off, and it'll look fabulous. It really will. Yeah, nice texturing and some detail on the floor pan in the pilot's area as well. Lovely. So the last two sprues, G and H, are actually connected, so all one. And we've got all the little parts on here. So all the detail parts. We've been dealing with the big meaty parts primarily, and now this is the sort of the detail stuff. So we've got the winch here, and that's got raised. There's lots of raised fastener detail on here, and it is absolutely stunning. That I think is the cover for the pilot's dials. Some of these parts don't really know what they are. We've got the pilot's seats there. We've got the landing gear parts as well, which I'm just looking. It's a little bit flashy actually. The seam is a bit heavy. I mean, it's just whipped the seam off, but yeah, that one's a bit flashy. But you can see this flash around the sprue there as well. So something's not gone so well there. Not quite sure. Then the winch mounting legs, they're nicely done. A lot of sprue connectors on there, but quite a bit of clean up to do on that. It's our winch body, which is nice. Then we've got our internal switches and things, all raised, lovely. Right, our wheels. So as we noted, they're all single molded, but there's no sink in them. I suspect, let's just prove it, we can put a cocktail stick in the back of that. Yeah, just trim the point off so you can get it to fit. You'll be able to mount that, no worries. So that's good, easy for painting. Hard to see whether they're weighted or not. I think they are slightly, but I suspect they don't bulge too much anyway. Sprue gates are quite thick, so there's quite a bit of cleanup on the wheels, in fairness, and there's no tread. And I'm guessing that may be correct. Don't know. I mean, they look all right. I suspect that there'll be resin ones come out, and you might want to look at those. Yeah, they're all right. They're okay. They're not blowing me away, but they're okay. That's the panel that covers up in the bottom piece there. More little parts. nuts, a lot of ejector pins to remove, control sticks, sprue gates on the handle. Better than being on that rod though, I think, because it's the chunkier bit. So they probably couldn't. It'd be nice if they had been able to just have the one sprue gate on that, maybe. But anyway, seats, they're probably a little bit basic, but at this scale you'll get away with it. Then we've got our dials there, all raised, so you could definitely go in and brush paint them if you wanted. The decals for the dials are going to be tiny, so yeah, some thought on that. Then we've got our conical filters there, again nicely detailed, and again both of those have come off their sprue gates there. We've got a lot of parts that have come adrift from the sprue. In fact, I'm not even sure that those sprue connector points formed properly. Very, very thin. I don't think they actually ever fully moulded those. Interesting. Then we've got all these little delicate aerials and bits and pieces that we put on right at the end. Some lifting hooks of various types. Wherever they can, the sprue gates are on connection points, so they have done their best to engineer out as much cleanup as possible. So that makes me happy. There's definitely put a bit of thought into this. So very nice. Right, let's have a look at the photographs and then we'll sum up. Well, there you have it. Airfix's brand new tool, 1:72 scale Boeing Chinook HC.1. What's my first impression? Okay, let's go through the process. In packaging, boxes, brilliant, nice and robust. You're not going to get any damage in the post with that. So no issues with the box. Everything being in one bag. I do wonder if some of those parts have come adrift because they're all in one bag. And you've got some funny shapes there with the fuselage halves. So for me, I would have liked to have seen possibly the two fuselage halves separately. And then I think they would have got away with it a little bit more. But it's not a major issue. So many manufacturers put it in one bag. You know, I don't know. But I have got some parts that have come adrift, and in long-term storage, especially if you move them around occasionally, you might find that might cause you a problem with more parts getting broken. But I suspect suspect will probably be okay. Instructions, fantastic. For me, Airfix make the best instructions. They're easy, clear to and intuitive to follow. Very, very clear. My only comment on the instructions really is that if they're going to be using these colours, do explain them all, not just one of them. I've said this in several of their kits now. So that is my constant feedback on the instructions. Let's put the purple in and explain what it is. Let's put the green in and explain what it is. So yeah, I think that would possibly be helpful for younger, less experienced modelers at least. Although having said that, you work it out very quickly. So again, it's not a major issue. Decals, fantastic, especially if you're doing this Falklands version. Yeah, I think if that's supposed to be the North Atlantic, that is a very, very calm Atlantic Sea, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, decals, tons of them on the 1982 version, not so many on the 1991, but the cartograph, you can't complain. They're going to be beautiful. The most tricky part will be some of these squares where you've just got a thin square and that you've got to try and get that off and position it. That'll be the trickiest part of the decals. So the quality of the decals might work against you in some areas in there, but I think decals, perfect, full marks. And then, of course, we come to the plastic parts. So the clear plastic parts got a little bit of spidering, not uncommon on clear parts. So I'm not going to grumble about that. In the main, nice crystal clear parts, and you've only really got an issue where you've actually got an issue, and it's shown here on the real thing. So I think they've emulated that very, very well. So I'm happy with the clear parts. They're nice and crisp and very, very crystal clear. The plastic parts themselves, bearing in mind this is 1/72 scale, I think they've done a phenomenal job of the raised details. I mean, the raised rivet detail on things like the edge of the conical filters, you can't see them, but you can feel them under your finger. Obviously, they'll really pop when you paint it up. So really nice that they've managed to engineer it in a way that we can get all of that rivet detail on. Very, very nicely done. Lots and lots of detail packed in. Given the scale, there are some limitations as well, and that mainly comes out, I think, on some of the smaller parts and the interior detail. So what we're lacking on the interior is, of course, all the seat harnesses. You've got all those seats there, you've got no harnesses. You've got no harnesses for the pilots. There's other little things noticeably missing as well, like the windscreen wipers. So there is some stuff missing. No doubt there will be some aftermarket photo etch. So I'm going to sit tight on this and wait for someone to bring out some photo etch for it. I think overall, the plastic parts are very good. Probably the weakness, if there is one, is in the wheels. Don't know. There was something about them that wasn't too convincing. I might be wrong. I can't put my finger on it and say what it is. Just felt like we were missing some detail on there. Obviously, there's no sidewall writing, but again, I suspect we'll get some resin ones come out at some point, and that'll just up the game for them a little bit beyond what they could do from the plastic moulding. But all in all, I think for a 1/72 scale model, there's plenty of parts to go at. What was 117? You appear to be using most of them. They've engineered it in a way that it's easy to build, but there's plenty to do for the modeler. There's lots of drilling holes and that sort of stuff. So I can see why they've said it's a skill level 3, but I think it's at the easier end of skill level 3. I think it's a borderline skill level 2, 3, to be honest. list. I don't think there's anything there. It's not like, if I compare it to the Bulldog, which came out just the week before it, the cockpit in there is very, very fiddly, and even for an experienced modeler, it's very tricky to put it all together, and that's also a skill level 3. So I think, you know, even within those skill levels, there's a spectrum, isn't there? And this is at the lower end of the skill level 3 for me. Most of what you're building here is big, chunky parts. The smaller parts are all these little bits that go on at the end just before you paint it. So I think it's a really, really nice kit. I'm looking forward to building it at some time. I've never built a Chinook before at any scale, but I do think I want to wait and see what the aftermarket boys do to give it a bit of va-va-voom. So yeah, really nice kit. I think lots of people will be excited to get stuck into this. There's so much they can do with the Chinook in the future. I mean, it's used not just as a military, it's primarily used as a military vehicle, but it's also used by logging companies as well for heavy lifting. So there is some commercial use they could get out of it at some point in the future. So I'm looking forward to see how many different iterations of the Chinook Airfix can squeeze out of this, because that is a beautiful little kit. Yeah, so it does need a little bit of work for those people that like to super detail, but otherwise you could build that straight out of the box and have something that looks absolutely as it should. So there you go. If you're wondering whether it was worth buying into, you now know. You know what you get in the box. I hope that was useful and helpful. And if it was, you can consider making a little donation to say thank you. Details in the text below. Until the next time you enjoy your modelling, I will see you very soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. It's free, and that way you won't miss my first impressions, my tool reviews, my product reviews, and any of my builds, including wooden model kits as well as plastic. It's all free, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can hit my PayPal link in the text below. Every pound goes straight into the channel to keep the cameras rolling and to do more fun stuff for you to watch.